some call me Dave the Pain Train Mazany, depending on whether you're stepping into the squared circle, the octagon, or if it's just the studio Dave Mazany, whatever you want. Man, fitness journey. I never really looked at it as fitness, I looked at it as human performance. So when I was a kid, I grew up playing ice hockey, and then eventually I moved into track and field, cross country, and then I ran cross country and track in college. And after that, I started my journey as a fighter. And I was a mixed martial arts fighter professionally for many years, like over 10 years. And so everything's based around performing the best for that. Recently, I retired. My last fight was almost 2 years ago today. And so now it's just trying to figure out where I'm going with myself. I've always trained with a goal in mind, like I've got to be the best at this in the world. I got to be the best title holder and stuff like that. So now it's just like being the best me, being the best trainer at this point. Like I use what I've learned through professional athletics to inspire other people to improve their lives. So being the representation of that is, I guess, what I'm doing now. Getting this meat machine moving through that game we call life. My biggest challenge is finding what my next challenge is, right? And that's my biggest challenge. I motivate off of goals. I'm one of those person that shoots for the moon, and often you miss and you're still on the stars, right? You're going for the biggest goal you possibly can. When I was an aspiring ice hockey player, I was going to go to the NHL. When I was a track and field athlete, I was going to be the first Alaskan to break the 4-minute mile, right? When I was a mixed martial arts fighter, I was going to go to the UFC and thrive there. And now it's finding the next one. So my biggest challenge is finding what my next challenge is going to be. Without a goal, without something to shoot for, life feels stale to me, right? I've always shot from one big thing to the next. And right now, the goal is to be the best person to help others be their best, right? And finding the correct way to do that, finding the right path. What is it exactly that's going to make that happen? That's what makes me happy, right? So the biggest challenge is just finding the next one. Have my personal goals change throughout my fitness journey? I'm saying yes, and it should be yes for everybody. We all go through different stages of life and different things. From one sport to the next, I went from very aerobic sport to very anaerobic sport to mixed martial arts, which was a very both everything sport. And then as a fitness professional, I'm doing things like yoga and bar and Pilates along with kettlebell TRX and stuff like that. So my goal as a person who's trying to make my body go do a certain thing has changed. And also there's also mental health along with your fitness journey, right? Because your body's not going to work unless the brain's working too. So everything changes almost on a weekly basis, monthly basis, yearly, bi-yearly. You're always changing your goals, always making adjustments. As you get older, things break down, things stop working. So I'm always changing. Right now, I'm just trying to keep my body moving as best as possible, be able to teach my classes the best of my ability, and not be a dentist with wooden teeth, right? You don't want to be a fitness instructor that's living a different lifestyle than what you're preaching. So everything I tell my students, my classes and stuff is authentic, because I'm never, ever gonna give somebody something to do that I'm not willing to do personally. So I try to hold myself accountable to that all the time. So just keeping my body ready to give somebody what I've given myself is kind of where I'm at currently. The biggest motivation, I guess, through time is always changing. You always try to find the people that has inspired me. When I was really young, it was somebody like Wayne Gretzky, right? He's the greatest hockey player on the earth in my mind when I was there. And then, as a distance runner, I looked up to somebody who was alive when I was alive, but Steve Prefontaine, right? He was one of those guys, a super gutsy runner who held every American record in America. And then mixed martial arts, and there's guys like Ken Shamrock and Randy Couture and Hoist Gracie who kind of put mixed martial arts on the map. These innovators, Kazushi Sakuraba was Japanese professional wrestlers. I grew up getting inspired by Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan and stuff, who inspired imagination and stuff like that. Because without imagination, where can you go? How can you figure things out? I derive inspiration from everything, because there's no one person that encompasses you, right? You're an individual. I'm an individual. So I see an individual and I take a little bit that they have to give, a little bit of juice from this person, a little bit of juice from this, and you mix it all together and you create something that inspires you. So at the end of the day, I'm inspired by people. I'm inspired by people. And it could be the person in my class that has never tried something before, and then they continue to do it, and they do something that they never thought they could. Inspiration doesn't have to come from greatness always. It just comes from everything around you, even nature. It could be everything. So to pin it on one thing for me would be not authentic. I get inspired from pieces of everything. The best piece of fitness advice that I've ever received that's a tough question, because we've gotten a lot and they've affected us at different points in our life. One piece that has really affected me, and I guess it repeats, is levels of stress, dealing with levels of stress. Your body has like a meter basically, and you can handle X amount of stress, but stress comes in different forms. There's physical stress, mental stress, emotional stress. And say you have a lot of mental and emotional stress, your physical stress levels can't be as high. Otherwise you get overtrained, which happens a lot when you're an elite athlete or pushing yourself to a specific level. So when I was training for fights, I needed to get my physical stress high, so I had to drop my mental and emotional stress, push away things that didn't serve me at the time. When I would get done with my fights, my physical stress would go down, and I would deal with the things that were causing, mental and emotional stress, right? So, because we all have this attitude that we can do everything. I can do everything at once. I have this job, this job, this job. I'm a man who wears many hats, an MMA fighter, pro wrestler, coach, athlete, mentor to people and stuff like that. And sometimes you get overwhelmed because you're trying to do everything. And I'm trying to be an athlete all the time too. So every once in a while you gotta take a step back. Where are my stress levels? Where are my stress levels? Where are they hitting? And so the best piece of advice I got was just to manage the stress levels by just realizing where is it coming from, physical, mental, emotional, make sure they're balanced where they need to be at the time for the task at hand.
Download the TruConnect app.